Hello, my friends, and welcome to the 52 Coffees podcast. I am Cindy Williams, your host, and today is going to be absolutely phenomenal because we've already can't stop talking. So every week I invite on extraordinary women, and today is no exception. Living exceptional lives, advancing daily, achieving our dreams. That's what it's all about. 52 Coffees podcast is sponsored by Lead My Life, which is a dynamic coaching platform and community for women who are just wanting to unlock the life of their dreams. So if you want to find out more, go to leadmylife.com, give us a visit, and we'd love to have you join. So our guest today is somebody that I just on LinkedIn, I saw her profile and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my person. And I read it. She is a fractional CFO. And if I'm going to be just completely transparent, I had to look that up. I Googled.
That's
I
okay. A lot
Googled.
of people do.
Yeah, and I was totally fascinated because I was like, we've been business owners for 30 years. I'm like, that is such a necessary thing. What I love about this woman that I'm going to introduce is that what she does is with on a faith-based, and you have this thing in your bio that says that all your clients have this one priority, and that money fuels their mission. And that's the difference. That's the difference in leading a faith-led business. And so I am so excited to welcome Diana Miret and say hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself and just welcome.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to your folks and to just be with like-minded people. My name is, like you said, Diana Miret, and I do serve as a fractional CFO, Chief Financial Officer for small businesses. Generally, large businesses have CFOs on staff
Mhm.
that work with the accounting teams and the controllers and so on. But small businesses just don't have the budget for someone to really help them navigate the financial world. And so it's I offer a fractional, so they get a small piece of me, and we dive deep into their numbers. So I'm happy to be able to do that. It keeps me very interested. I get to see all kinds of different industries. One day I'm talking to an influencer. The
Yeah.
next minute I'm talking to a construction person who has a construction company. I
Mhm.
mean, and everything in between. So it's just the best. It's just totally the best.
Yeah, when I read that and started, and really there's fractional leadership in all different areas, and it's really a kind of a fascinating industry because there are so many small business owners. And when we first talked, you had mentioned how, we have our bookkeeper, who handles a limited area of our finances. And then, we have our CPA who handles us at tax time. But when we have questions about profit, about revenue, about, what are my projections, all the details that really keep us in business, who do we talk to? And what you do is like so infinitely important. So I'm so excited about our conversation that we talked about today. But first, tell us about your journey, because I mean you've had a long career. I want to know some nuggets.
Okay, she did use the word long. Okay. That's okay. Yeah, so, I graduated with a degree in accounting way back when. And my first job, the controller gave me my first performance review, and he said, you know how to do accounting, but I don't think you're cut out for this. And I
Mm.
go, what do you mean? I just spent 5 years in school. What? And he said, yeah, you don't have the personality of an accountant. And at 21 years old, that was crushing. And oh my gosh, I've just spent 5 years, and oh no, what am I going to do? But it ended up being, of course, just like everything, when God is running your life, and whether you know it or not, He's leading you. that led me into a whole area of business where I got so much experience in running large organizations, larger divisions, larger and larger groups within major companies. And so what happened is that um, I ended up having a whole bunch of skill sets in the area of management and hiring. And then I got into project management and I mean, just knowing how to execute strategy is a massive thing I had to learn, but I was so gifted. I was able to do that. And it was just wonderful. So by the time I got to retirement age, well, early retirement age, we were fully funded and everything at age 55. And I said, okay, I'm burnt out. I'm ready to retire. And I retired for a while. And I just nothing. I don't think God gave me a chance to sleep in and watch TV. And then finally he said, I think it's time that you use what I have knitted you for in your mother's womb. So I went back to start, I just started my own business and I didn't know quite what to do, but I had all this experience. I'm happy to share it. Who
Mhm.
wants a piece of this?
Yeah.
And over time, I migrated over to fractional CFO. Main reason is a lot of business owners, like you said, they really don't have anyone to really discuss their numbers with. And in fact, most business owners go into business because they love something. They love a product or a service or an industry, and they go in, they're big hearted, they're full of energy, ready to take on the world. And 90 some percent of them didn't go to business school. They don't really know how to manage their numbers or manage marketing or manage. And so the poor business owners got to wear 20 hats,
Yeah.
one of which is financials.
Yeah.
And who has time to sit down and read a book on finance and accounting and bookkeeping and all that? So they've got to go out and get sales and so on. So I gravitated to that because of my background, and they have a huge need for it, just a massive need.
It is.
So it was a marriage made in heaven, so to speak.
Yeah. And you know what I love about your story, and I hear this over and over and over again. And I was just on a call before you, and we were talking about this exact same thing, is that God in the Bible, the majority of the people that he used were later on in their years when they finally were like, okay, this is it. I have been grooming you your entire life for this moment. And here you go. And we get so impatient. We're like, okay, Lord, what are you doing in my life? What's my purpose and all of that? And it's just hang in there because God has something for you. And I love that he just took all your skills and it says in your bio, 40 years of skills and experience.
Yeah.
And that person that told you at the very beginning, you don't really have the personality for an accountant. That's the first thing I thought when I saw you. I'm like, oh, she's not your typical, she's got a personality. Sorry, accountants, and smiles. And
Different. Yeah.
what a blessing to be able to just put into your skill set or early on. Early on.
And thank you. And you know something, it ended up because everything God does is absolutely perfect, but it ended up being so perfect because there's two things that run through every organization. I don't care what they do, and I don't care what product, service, or anything. One is accounting,
Mhm.
financials. Every business has to deal with that, no matter if they're a bakery or they make, automobiles. Doesn't matter. And the second thing is now technology. And so most of my career was in the technology field, in financial systems, but on the technology side. So I am so lucky because the things I know how to do, every business needs. But
Mhm.
I just wanted to comment something you said about the delay when God gives you something and it takes time. I just read recently, and I hope I don't have my numbers wrong, um, that David was anointed as the next as a king for Israel, but it was 14 years.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is it 14? Yeah, 14 years
Yeah.
before he actually took the crown and did what kings did back then.
Yeah.
So you gotta wonder, right? If he sat under that tree going, "Did I dream up this anointing thing?"
Yeah, it
Did
seems
that
perfect.
really happen?
Yeah, yeah, and when you think, I mean, over and over again in the Bible, we see that. So, we see Moses, his first 40 years were in the palace. Then then his first act of leadership was to murder someone. And then he ran off in the wilderness for another 40 years. He was 80 years old when God said, okay, now go out. And he was like, I don't really want to. But he said, no, this is it. And I think Paul on the road to Damascus, he actually doesn't really talk a whole lot about it, but he had a 14 years before he was really put into commission. So it's an
Oh,
interesting
that's so cool.
concept.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
yeah, because we want things right now. We think, okay, like with the business ownership, I want to start a business. I got this great idea. And we think we're going to just open the doors and woo, all the business comes in. It doesn't happen that way. And so that's what I want to talk about first, because that was intriguing. I read one of your blog articles, which if anybody listening to this, you have to subscribe to. It's Profit Jam, right?
not my profit jam.
Yeah, I love your Profit Jam. And it's succinct, it's concise every week, and just some great, great stuff in there. But I read something about a business plan. And
Mhm.
that you can tell me the numbers, but the percentage of business owners who get so excited and they're out the gates, but they do not have a plan. So let's talk about that first.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the business plan is one of the things that I absolutely insist on when I start working with someone,
Mhm.
even if they've been in business 20 years.
Yeah.
Um, if you don't have a business plan, you really don't have a foundation. And it's not about not understanding what you're going to do or the product that you're going to sell or service. It's not about that. It's
Mhm.
about thinking about the how.
Mm.
You can think of the what. I'm going to make the most amazing vegan cupcakes on the planet, and I'm going to become a franchise and then be countrywide within 5 years. Okay, that's wonderful goal. How?
Yeah.
Where do we start?
Mhm.
How are you going to market? Where are you going to get your products from? Et cetera, et cetera. So the business plan, even a two-pager, where you sit down and you break it down between the who, what, when, where, and the why of
Mhm.
what I'm doing is absolutely essential. And often people have fantastic ideas. I've had people say, I'm going to open up a beauty salon. Oh, good.
Oh.
Why? Oh, well, the strip mall down the street gave me a good deal on the spot.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
And what's the plan? Oh, I don't know, but I don't start paying rent for 3 months and I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the plan? And so it's sitting down and just making out a plan. Now, God will direct us. If
Mhm.
God wants you going this way instead of that way, he'll make sure that it happens. But we have to make a plan. I mean, in the Bible, in Proverbs, it says, before a man builds a tower, will he not sit down and
Mm.
determine if he can build it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's a question of sitting down and going, okay, how am I going to build this? And
Mhm.
that process is what's gold, not the actual two-page business plan, although that's very
Right.
useful, but the process of sitting down and determining who, what, when, where, why, and how is
Yeah.
gold.
I love that. And you're a fellow marathon runner. So I'm
Yeah,
going to
oh, I know.
throw this at you because I heard this week, this quote. I was listening to a podcast with Simon Sinek, and I'm going to forget who else was on there, but he said that it's like not having a plan is like running a marathon without any mile markers. And can you
Yeah, that's a good
imagine,
one.
do you know how much we look forward to the mile markers? It's like,
Oh,
okay, I made it to that one and I made it to that one. And to run one without any mile markers would just be like insanity. And not only with our businesses, but we run our lives the same way as well. Do we have a plan for our health? Do we have a plan for our marriage and for our life and how we're going to live it? And so just really speak on that just a little bit, or just maybe some encouragement or some tips on. I'm the one opening the hairstyle salon. I'm the one, opening the vegan cookie shop. how do I start? How do I start making a plan? What should I be thinking about?
Yeah. That's a great question. Um, the first thing I would think about is, honestly, I'm sure you make the most of beautiful, beautiful cupcakes, and I'm sure you cut hair and color hair beautifully. Thank God for those human beings, by the way. Um, However, I'd like you to sit down and think about very first, before you do anything else, and think about, who do you want to serve?
Mm,
Who do you, sure, anyone with a wallet can buy a cupcake. I get that. I do understand that. But who would you love to sell cupcakes to? Who would you love to cut hair for? Who would you love to consult and coach with? Who would you love to create beautiful things for the home, design for? Whatever your business is. Who is your you know,
yes.
when you're fantasizing about your business, there's an image of a person there that is buying your product.
Hmm.
So I say, really think about it. And they have words for this, like client avatar and things like that. I try not to get too hung up on terminology, but think about who you want to serve. Then from there, well, where does this person go? Where does this person shop? Where does this person, what kind of materials do they read? Et cetera, et cetera. How are they going to encounter you? Like, really put yourself, and in fact, I did this exercise once with someone and it was fabulous. She was a marketing person. She said, give her a name,
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
her a hair color, give her
Yes.
an age, give her, what car does she drive?
Yeah.
Does she like jeans or does she wear like leggings? Like everything. She had us like draw this mental picture of our person. And
Yeah.
it was funny because we could all do it.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
though it,
Absolutely.
like, we could all color it in like who we thought. So I'm going off tangent, but that's how you would create your business plan is, okay, now that I know who I'm trying to reach,
Hmm.
how am I going to reach them?
Hmm.
How am I going to market to them?
Hmm.
How how often will they consume what I sell?
Right.
So I can get a feel for, how much I'm going to make per person and how many of those persons do I need in
Mhm.
order to hit my targets and so on. So everything is around your desired end client. That's where I would start. And then having that picture in front of me, I would then create a business plan around that person. What happens is everyone writes business plans and they could pass for exams at the
Yeah.
business school. And that's great, but they don't resonate in here.
Internalize. Yeah. Yeah.
So write it for the person. If
Right.
you want to do a dog walking business, write about the dogs you want to take care of and that you want to meet and so on and so forth. So that's where I would start
You,
in the
you know,
business.
I love that. And that's really what I was new real estate agent at age 50. I felt like, I was just starting out like a teenager counting back change,
That's great
because,
though.
yeah.
I
And,
love it.
and the first year I sold one home because I was sending out birdshot. I didn't know who my client was.
Right.
I had no idea. And I had somebody sit me down and say exactly what you said. And I'm like, oh, well, it's an empty nest woman and an empty nest couple that, their kids just left for college and they have a big 2-story home and they want to live in a single story. And all of a sudden I started defining that and it was like, I can sell homes now because I know who my people
Amazing.
are. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm going to add one more thing to what you said,
I love
because
that.
once we define our client and we know that person, and I love just using our imaginations and giving her an outfit and all of it. What's her pain? What is her
Yes.
pain? What problem are you going to solve for this person? And when I speak, I talk about that as our gap, our God appointed purpose, because we stand in the gap for our people. We have who they are and their genes and their cute person, all of that, but they have a pain. They have something that they need to solve. When I was in real estate, it was like their house is too big. They're sad. They want to move. They need to move into the single story. Well, I'm going to be the bridge. I'm going to help them get there. You know, yeah.
Amazing.
So with you, I'm going to ask you, just with your business, what is the pain that you see in your clients? What's the pain point?
I'll tell you the number one thing is they have a nagging, gnawing feeling that I don't know my numbers and therefore I don't know if I can actually make payroll next week. I don't know with certainty if I can cover rent this month. I don't know with certainty
Mhm.
that if I write this check for this thing that I want to acquire, that I'll have enough money at the end of the month to
Mhm.
do other things. I don't know. They are financially not certain. And of course things can happen in a month and nothing is completely what do you transparent so we can find it. But if you don't have it, you go by your bank balance. So one of the things people do is they look at their bank account and whatever Chase says they have, that's what they think they have. Well, 10 minutes after they signed off of Chase or whatever, all of a sudden that balance has gone away because payroll just ran or the rent
Oh,
check just cleared,
right.
which you thought had cleared already and has not cleared. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden it cleared. And now you're like, OMG. So it's that pain that they feel of they're unsettled, uncertain, and not confident of a business decision. Gee, can I afford to hire that
Mm.
person I need? I don't know for sure. And if I hire them, what's going to happen to my payroll? Will I be able to afford my payroll? Well,
Mm.
oh, I don't know if I should, maybe I should wait. Maybe I should wait. And they don't have an answer. And to me, numbers are so simple that
Yeah.
you can get an answer. It may not be the answer you want right away, but you
Right.
can get an answer. You don't have to live in uncertainty.
Right.
Numbers are lovely that way. You either going to have it or you're not. And so you can choose what to do then. But I
Mm.
think it's that nagging feeling of just not being able to be at peace.
Yeah, I totally understand that. You give them something that's concrete. And
Yeah.
I know early on when my husband and I started our service industry business, way back in the early 90s, I knew that feeling because we had one year, the very, I think it was our very first year in business. My husband went up to our tax appointment, got in an accident on the freeway, found out we owed $1 jillion in taxes, came home. We had a slab leak in the garage, and we had been trying for 7 years to get pregnant. And guess what? I'm pregnant. so, so it was one of those kind of days. And I always dreaded the tax appointment in the 90s because I was like, I never knew. It was an uncertainty, and if I just knew, I could put the money away. And so we finally found a wonderful woman, CPA, who took all that fear away from us, and we could know what our projections were and all of that. And so I understand that fear, and that's your selling point. That's lovely. That is the pain that you solve, and it's real. It's real.
And it cost, I mean, they have enough things to worry about without adding that, which is very avoidable.
Yeah.
Funny you should bring up tax because, as you know, I work with Profit First. And Profit First, even if a client doesn't want to implement the full Profit First system, which is fine, you know, sometimes it's overwhelming to have 6, 7, 8 bank accounts.
Sure.
I say, look, at a minimum, we are going to have one more bank account,
Yeah.
and it's going to be the tax account.
Yes. Yes.
Even if we do nothing else, nothing else, we're going to have a tax account and we're going to put 15% of every dollar. And I get the big eyeballs like
No, you have to.
15%. I can't do that. And I'm like, we have to, because
Mm.
we do it now or you're going to do it later, but you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And
Otherwise,
so that tax account is everything.
it is. And it's like when we started I didn't even know it was Profit First, but as soon as we, discovered, okay, with these estimates, if we just do that and set up that tax account, all of a sudden that concrete block that's on my shoulders, that's weighing on me, how much are we going to owe? It's gone. Because it's already there. When it comes time to pay estimates, it's already there and maybe a little bit extra.
Absolutely.
and oh, what a relief that is. What a
Just
relief.
that alone. Sometimes I earn my fee just by, like telling them that. And then they're like, "Oh my goodness." And they do it tentatively at first. "Oh
Mhm.
no, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure." And then they get to month 3 and they are like, "I will never not do this.
Oh, yeah.
Ever
It
not do this
necessity.
again."
Love
Yes.
that. So let's go dive into a little bit, we've got the business plan. By the way, I mean, you can just Google how to make a business. It's not rocket science.
It's
It's
not.
not rocket science. It's
It's
just
not MBA, Harvard kind of
no,
material. It's
anybody can
pretty
do
much
it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, form your business plan, mandatory. Okay. And we might dive into profit first a little bit later too, a little bit more, but let's talk, because I was fascinated about this. We talked about business hierarchy and what do we need to concentrate on first and foremost when we are launching our cupcake shop or our
I
hair
love that.
salon or coaching business or whatever
Or
it is.
whatever. Yeah. So, um, just like human beings, you and I talked about this, right? In psychology 101, maybe in high school, wherever you studied it, business or sorry, people have a hierarchy of needs, right? So at the bottom level of that hierarchy, it's a triangle. It's called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So at the bottom level is, the basic needs. You need oxygen, you need water, and you need food. Like without those 3 things, there is no life, right?
Right.
And then there's a second layer, which is security, feeling secure, feeling like I'm not in danger. And then the third level, and I can't remember everything above the third level, but it's self-actualization is up at the top and so on. So a business is exactly the same. And I just want to take a side note for just a moment. The second you asked me, what's the biggest problem business owners have? And I explained it to you, the biggest pain point. The second pain point they have, but usually, is I have 36 problems.
Mhm.
Where do I start? Because it's like a whack-a-mole game, right? Okay, I'm going to solve this problem, but then this one pops up, and then I'm going to hit that problem, and then over here, and then by the time I punch 22 of them, I'm exhausted,
Right.
and I got to the end of my day, and I haven't moved forward. People don't know where to start
Yeah.
when they have so many issues. So now let's go back to the triangle. So a business has its own hierarchy of needs. On the very bottom of that hierarchy of needs is sales.
Yeah.
If you don't have sales,
Yeah.
worrying about profit, worrying about systems, worrying about legacy, worrying about, oh, am I going to be able to leave this for my children? Like, don't waste time. If you don't have enough sales, solve that problem first.
Yeah.
All right. Once we have that problem somewhat, we have a sales operating system. We know how to get leads. We know how to work leads. We know how to land leads. We know how to get a consistent deal flow or whatever it is we're doing, how to get people to walk in the door for our cupcakes. Once we got that nailed,
Mhm.
the next thing we need to think about is layer number 2, which is profit.
Right.
Why is profit next? Because profit is stability.
Mhm.
If you have profit, you have stability. If you don't have profit, you are one missed sale
Mm.
from anxiety.
Yep.
So profit is now your next concern. So first, I got to get the sales in the door.
Mhm.
Second of all, I have to do it profitably.
Mhm.
And third of all, do I have systems to ensure that all 3 of these things are working well? And are they documented and can they be followed? So it takes them I have my business owners sometimes, I go, okay, write down your 46 different issues that you've got going on right now. And they start scribbling madly and they can fill up several pages. Yeah, I got this problem and that problem. I'm like, okay, let's grab a green highlighter. Which ones of these are related to sales?
Mhm.
And then they just sort of go through the list. They might find 4 or 5, they might find more. I'm like, okay, that's our start.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, the other one, well, I need to hire Betty Sue. Well, Betty, you can't, let me explain something. You don't have sales, you can't hire Betty Sue.
Right. Right.
It's a moot point. So let's go fix that. So
Yeah.
it gives us an ability to sort through our business problems on a daily basis
Mhm.
And if I'm not working on my sales, I better be working on my profit. And if I'm not working on my profit, I better be working on my systems.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. It explained to me that very basic knowledge here, but just we have the sales in the door. So where do we come up with the profit?
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Because a lot of
And
times we'll just spend, oh, I've got 100,000 sales coming in, so I can buy this car, I can do this, I can do that. What about,
I,
yeah, so let's just talk about the profit a little
that
bit.
goes back to the business plan. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
why the business plan is crucial.
Right.
In the business plan, you want to think about your pricing,
Mhm.
right? So you're going to do a little competitive analysis. So how much do cupcakes sell for in the city of Stewart, for example, or in Jupiter, or wherever I happen to be? And you do a little bit of market research and you find out that you can get cupcakes from $4 to $8.
Right.
That's your competition. Okay, great. Now, how much does it cost me to make a cupcake?
Mhm.
Okay. It better be less than I plan to sell it for. Again, this goes back to the business case or the business plan. So
Yeah.
I'm going to sell it for 7. So you pick your price. I'm selling it for 7, and I'm going to have to make it for 3 because or less because I have these other expenses. I got to pay for um, the website, and I got to pay for somebody to, I got to buy the packaging materials, and I got whatever. You put all that plan together, and now you have an idea of what it's going to cost you to
Mhm.
run your cupcake business. Again, people don't start there. They
Yeah.
just start buying flour and eggs and milk and running out and doing their thing and creating the cupcakes, and somebody loves them and buys them, but they have no idea, did I make any money?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah.
Back to the business plan.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
we make it for what we thought? Well, when your price exceeds your cost, that's when you have profit,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So if you can do that, if you can sell it for less than what you make it, I mean, this is business 101.
Yeah,
It's not,
it's basic.
it's
It's
very,
basic,
very basic, but
but
you'd be astonished how
yeah,
many
but we
people
get it.
don't think that through.
Yeah. No, I'm not astonished. I know.
I bet you do.
I see it because we get these great ideas and we have to go through these steps. And another thing that we discussed earlier, which I love, is that we do not make purchasing decisions, outside of what's necessary for our business until we have profit.
Absolutely. That's
And,
the
and
next. Yeah.
yeah, and one of the best examples I can think of for myself is, when I started out my coaching business and it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I knew that I wanted to go and get my Maxwell certification, and I knew that was a chunk of change to
Mhm.
go there.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, I had to have profit in order to do those kind of things, right? And so I waited until I was at that point instead of just going, oh, I got sales coming in and using that, but being able to make those kind of decisions. And it's almost like a reward. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to shoot for that. And once I'm there, I can go. And it's a delayed gratification, and it takes patience, but
And
definitely
there's
work.
a difference between I invest in something compared to I decide that it's an input for my business. So one thing is a need. If I make cupcakes, I have a need for flour and eggs and
Mhm.
milk and resources, right? Those are needs of the organization. Then there's an outer layer of expenses which are a little more discretionary.
Mhm.
Like I can make a cupcake without attending that one seminar, or I can make the cupcake without buying the newest mixer on the planet.
Mhm.
Um, I have a client in this area who makes sauces, and he wants to buy a bottling machine. And I'm like, okay, well, first go sell bottles. And in other words, go land the contract. And he's like, well, no, they won't give me the contract unless I have the bottling machine. I'm like, no, 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 no. You sell it first. And
Mhm.
then when you have a contract and a purchase order, then we
Mhm.
buy the equipment because now we know we can pay for it.
Right.
It's a different way of thinking. That's all it is.
It
And
is.
so he's like, well, what if they want an order and I don't have the machine and the machine takes 6 weeks to come in and I can't do that? I'm like, guess what? There's people who will bottle it for you until you get your machine.
In
It's
the
okay.
interim, yeah,
It's okay. But guess what? You'll have the money, you'll have it in hand, and you won't be in debt.
yeah, yeah,
My
and that
last profit jam was on debt, and debt is a killer.
it is. It
And
is.
people think, well, it's business debt, it's okay. No, it's not okay.
No. Yeah,
There's investment, that's different.
yeah,
But debt is not a great place to be, especially if you have no profit.
right,
So debt, lack of profit and debt at the same time, lethal combination.
right,
And people don't put those two things together ever
right,
until
until it's too late, until it's too
it's too late. And then I come along and go, "Oh, no, no, no. We have more debt than profit."
Mhm,
Is that bad? Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
let's get to work.
Yeah, exactly. So let's fix that.
Yeah,
Let's put a debt pay down schedule in and let's do the forecasting so we can put cash away. And that's the other thing I do with the bank accounts is we start putting money away to really chunk down on our debt. So that's the other absolutely must have bank account
right,
that I ask them to get.
yeah, I love that. I was just listening to, before we came on today, a podcast with Alex Hermosi.
Oh, I love him.
Oh, the guy with Spotify, Harley, I think it's Harley Finkelstein.
I think
And
so. Yeah.
it was such a fascinating podcast, but they were talking about how since 2020, the increase in entrepreneurship is like 85%. I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge because we realized in 2020, it's like all of a sudden we had a big, huge disruptor. A lot of us were home and we got to go, you know what? I don't really want to go back to that. I'm home with my family. I enjoy that. And we started to dream a little bit, some of us, and starting, oh, I can do that. So what would you say to the people? Because you can give us a percentage. You probably know it better than me. The percentage of businesses that fail, like within the first couple years. But what would you say to that person who has an idea and they don't want to live the 9 to 5 anymore? They're tired. They want their next. What should they do to get off on the best foot possible?
So Alex Hormozy
Yeah.
is one of the people who says, and I love this concept. You work 9 to 5 at a, okay, I get it. 9 to 5, you go to an organization and you clock in. And I know it's not your end all be all great. You start your side hustle after 5 and on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
You don't leave one,
Mm-hmm.
live on credit cards until you get the other one going.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Work the side hustle. Yes, you will be working 12, 13, 14 hours a day for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, your weekends are going to be earmarked for hustle. Yes, yes. Sorry about that, but that's how it goes. And once you get that business, we get the sales,
Yeah.
we get some of that. Wow. So that's how I'll sell that product.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and look, I can make it for this and I'll have this much left over. Once you've got that
Mm-hmm.
and you can replace,
Yeah.
then you come over
Then
and
it's
let go of your 9 to 5 or whatever that is and move over to your full-time hustle. You then, why? Because I've got the sales process down, I've got the profit process down, I've got the systems, even they may be small,
right.
but I've got it down. I know what I'm going to do
Yeah.
because I've tried it and it works.
Right.
So he talks about there's 40 hours to this job, there's another 40.
Yeah.
Find the other 40 until you can get rid of the first 40. And I agree with that. I hate to say
I
it, but it's the only way to do it,
Yeah.
unless you want to just go into debt.
Yeah, it's
The
absolutely,
risk.
absolutely true. And I think within that, when you're able to do the 9 to 5 and work the 5 to 9 for your
Yeah,
dreams, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Um, there's a proof of concept too. It,
exactly.
it gives you time to go, does this idea really work? You get
Make
to try it out.
mistakes. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can make your mistakes and not feed your family,
twice. Yeah,
right? Or not make that mortgage payment or whatever it is. You can
right.
make the mistake. You can realize, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done it this way. I should have done whatever, but it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You asked for a statistic. I mean, in the first year, there's about 53% of businesses don't make it.
Mm,
Seven by the year five, it's 73 or 75%, depending on which study you look at. But the Small Business Administration talks about 73%. And by year 10, 90% of them are gone.
yeah,
So
yeah,
10% make it to the 10-year mark. Now, I'll tell you, I work with a lot of the 10-year-olds,
yeah.
and not all of them are profitable. They just haven't died yet. And so making it to 10 is great.
Mhm.
Making it to 10 profitable is
Is
another
another
step
level.
forward. But it
Is
has to be intentional. I met with a client this morning. I think I must talk to you about that before we got on this call. And he runs a software company. Amazing. And I said, so what's your Q3 target? Oh, we're going to do 750 this quarter, 750,000 this quarter. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. So what's your profit target? Crickets.
yeah. Yeah,
Well, we always do about 20.
yeah.
I said, no, no, no. We always do. Or
Mhm.
what's our target?
Right.
Yeah, didn't put a target down. I said,
Yeah,
I would suggest you go back to your team and set up a target for that too. So 750 is awesome.
yeah.
What's the target? I go,
Right.
what's your profit margin now? Well, we shoot for 20. I said, no, no. I asked you, what's your profit margin now?
Yeah.
This is a $2 million
Right,
software company. This is
yeah,
not, Mama's Donuts.
right.
And he's like, yeah, well, I think, we try to be around 22%. I'm like, okay, let me tell you your numbers. You're actually at 17.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
hmm. So that's the kind of thing that you can be a $2 million company
Mhm.
and be still focused on the wrong thing.
Right,
Not the wrong thing. I'm sorry. That's not the right way to say it. You need to add that profit component to your target
right.
so that
Absolutely.
when you make it to year 10,
Yeah.
or not only at year 10 and hitting your sales targets, but you're also hitting your profit targets and you're sleeping at night.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. It's again just running that marathon. The
Yes.
marathon is the sales, but your profit targets would be your mile markers. And if you don't
Correct.
have them, then you're like thinking, oh, I'm doing wonderful. And maybe you're running a 12-minute mile when you could have run a 7, because you're
Not
just
me. I'm a 12-minute mile girl. Funny you should bring that up.
but you know
That's
what I
why
mean? You don't have anything to gauge it off of, so you don't know if you're doing great or doing poor. You're just running like Forrest Gump.
I look at it, and I know, you want to probably bring this down, but I look at it this way. Would you drive a car with no dashboard?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
No mile, no, no, you don't know how fast you're going. You don't
yeah,
know how much gas you got. You don't know when you last changed your oil.
yeah,
You probably don't even know what direction you're going. But okay, let's assume you know your direction. But you have no gauges,
yeah.
none,
Fascinating. You
right? How I wouldn't want to drive. I
you
don't know
know
if I've got a miles for gas or 10 miles for gas. I don't know.
we just got back from our trip to Colorado. We were gone for a month. On the way home, we had to take the Jeep, which my husband built the Jeep. So it's a built Jeep, spent 6 years doing it. We had to drive it through the desert. There's a lot of desert in the United States, by the way. Took us
Yeah.
2 whole days. The last day, the car, it was kind of overheating. It was so hot, and we stopped to have dinner, and we got back in the car, into the Jeep, no gauges. No gauge. It's funny that you say that. And they were just waffling back and forth. All the gauges were just waffling back and forth.
Oh, no.
So we had to make it to our target place, right? And so we did drive for a period of time. It was downhill, so we knew we went overheat, but it was the freakiest thing because it's like, am I going fast enough? Am I going slow enough? Is it overheating? We had no idea. So it was very scary. And so once we
How does
got
that feel?
just anxiety, worry, constant, are we okay? It's awful. How can we live our lives that way? And when we got to the hotel, he was able to unscrew the dashboard and do his mechanical magic that he has and, replugged, and it was all good. but to live life that way, to run a business that way,
And many people
huh,
do. That's
yeah,
why they don't make it. That's why 50 some percent of them don't make it past year one. And I hate that. And there's no need for it. Although now there are people who create products that nobody wants. Okay, that's different. That's why you do your business plan and you do your
right,
market research. And are people buying kitten leg warmers
yeah.
and hand knit kitten leg warmers? And can I create a business out of this? Yes, I had someone ask.
Multi-million, yeah.
I was like, I guess if you go to Alaska,
Yeah,
cats need leg
sure.
warmers. So sure, yeah. Are you going to do your marketing up there? Because
Yeah,
you're in
yeah,
Florida, no one's buying kitten leg warmers. And they're
right.
like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll market in Alaska. Yes, I thought that'd be a good idea. But you can create a product that no one wants, and hopefully that's why you don't give up your full-time hustle.
Right.
You try and create your kitten leg warmers and put them on Etsy and see like what happened. Are people buying these things? And what are they like the blue one better than the pink one? Okay, I'll do that. And you learn so
Yeah,
that when you do eventually go full time, you get those answers.
you've tried it. It's tried
Yes.
and true. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I have learned so much today, Diana. I have loved this conversation. It's just it's so necessary. And I really hope that it kind of triggers things in people's minds to, gosh, do I need to maybe make a business plan, revisit mine? Because we need to do that on a quarterly basis, I believe, just keep revisiting what
Yes.
we've planned. So I
Yes.
really hope it can just give some nuggets of truth. I think it will to people. But I want to ask you one last question because besides being runners and loving disciplined lives, both of us just, really are on the same mark that way. But you're an avid reader too of business books. I saw that. And I have, besides my 52 coffees challenge, I have a 52 book challenge to read a book every week. And
Yeah, that's great.
reading changes your life. I read that the highest level CEOs read over 50 books a year.
Yeah,
And
that's exactly right. They do.
I'm like, gosh, if I want to succeed, if I want to learn and be this post 50 successful person, I need to read, And so I started reading. So I want to know, what is Diana reading right now?
That's
Ask
awesome.
question.
Oh, yes, I'm a book freak. Thank you. Yes, and yeah, the book I just finished, but I am gonna go back and reread it, so I think that counts as two. Um, is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I am fascinated by him right now. I'm a solopreneur, so I got to wear 22 different hats and do everything. And you just, when you're a business owner, you just start doing because it has to get done. And there's no one to delegate it to, so you have to get it done. And after a while, you end up doing low value work that
Yeah.
takes away from your higher value work, which takes away from your real big value work, not only in revenue, but also in what satisfies you. So there's two components. So he gives you what I love about his book, and there's a lot of productivity books out there. There's a lot of people who show you how to segment your time and time blocking this, and I've read a lot of those, and they're all very good. But he gives you a step-by-step process all the way through implementation. Most of them, he even tells you, for example, this is how you hire your first EA. This is the files that you need to have in your email system. This is, I mean, like he
Hyper
breaks it down,
practical. Yeah.
super practical. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So then I started reading or listening to his YouTubes as well. So he's fascinating. He's a software guy, just so happens, but he's very successful at delegating the right things. And so is Elon Musk. And it's funny. So Richard Branson, he uses Richard Branson's, he went to Richard Branson's, he was invited to go skiing with Richard Branson and a group of about 40 people in Switzerland. And he was watching Richard Branson for, I think it was like 7 days. And Richard was extremely involved with every single person there. He
Yeah.
wasn't on his laptop, he wasn't on his phone, he
Right.
wasn't distracted. It wasn't a vacation for him, but he was very present. And he was like, how is this guy running 40 companies
Wow. Amazing.
So his executive assistant would come in every morning and they
Mhm,
would meet for about an hour.
mhm,
And they have such a finely tuned system on what Richard needs to pay attention to and what Richard doesn't need to pay attention to. And they have it so finely tuned that he spends 1 hour a day with
mhm,
his EA. I
mhm.
mean, and then the rest of the time he got to be present.
Yeah.
After I read that, I was like, that's incredible. I actually have a client who it was on Richard Branson's island not too long ago. I know I was like, whoa, you were? Wow, you're cool. Um, and she said that is absolute truth. That
Yeah.
was so she was with him on an island with a small mastermind group. And she said that's exactly what happened. Every day his EA would come in, they would spend some time, and then he was riding around in a Jeep and on the beach and sailing and doing with all of us what was going on. I was like, oh my goodness. So that's why I'm reading his book again for a second time.
Yeah.
Because you can read 50 books a year and some of them you get through it, you get two nuggets and off you go. This one is so full of nuggets, I got to read it again.
Yeah. And those are the good ones. I do like take one book and go through it. It takes me like 3 months because I'm have my journal and I'm taking all the notes and all
Yeah.
that. So I do like four real deep dives.
Yes.
But what you're saying is so beautiful, and it's so and that's my goal when I work with women is just to create that lifestyle type business where it's a flow between our faith, our work, and our life, that we're not so focused in on the work that we're forgetting all about this over here, that it's boxed instead of a flow. So I'm
Absolutely.
gonna have to take a look at that. That sounds wonderful.
Great book. Yeah, give that
Yeah.
a read.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that little
Now you
nugget.
told me I needed to share my coffee cup before we go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So 52 Coffees podcast, and Diana has brought on her coffee
Did you
cup.
read it?
Peace, love, and cash flow. I love that. And I have to screenshot that picture that you just gave us.
Oh,
That shows your perfect personality. Thank
I
you.
love it.
Yeah, we have loved having you on today. I love talking with you, and I can't, wait to enjoy more conversations and just learn more from you. So thank you for sharing with us today and giving of your time. And if you listen
My
today,
honor.
make sure to
Thank you.
hit the subscribe button, listen to 52 Coffees podcast. We have more exciting guests coming on every week. And thank you. Have a wonderful day, my friends.
Thank you.